Of course, all of us want our cars looking great all the time, but we don't always find the time to go through the meticulous process of washing and waxing the car with the traditional method. What if you only had 2 hours before date night and you want your car looking great, but you're in a time crunch? And that's where these spray coating solutions really came into play. And choices were pretty simple even 2, 3 years ago, where you could choose between a instant detailer if you already had a coat of wax on the car, or some type of a spray on wax, which promised nearly as good results at fraction of the time and effort. But as consumers, we intuitively understood the trade-offs, right? It was going to be very quick and easy to use these products, but it wouldn't look nearly as good. It wouldn't offer as much protection, and definitely it wouldn't last as long. And then in the last 2 years, two new entries were made in the spray market, confusing everyone. So this one is marketed as a ceramic spray coating, but if you look really closely, it does say that it's a synthetic wax. This one is marketed as a graphene-infused flex wax, whatever that means. But what's unbelievable is that both of these products claim that it can last up to a year, which I find really hard to believe. So we are going to directly compare these four products, testing them as scientifically as I can manage using this almost brand new 2023 Mini Cooper S as a test vehicle. And we're really going to see if these marketing claims are to be trusted. Are they really groundbreaking technologies that changes the value equation in these products? Or is it all just too good to be true? Cool, let's go. First, we're gonna give this Mini Cooper a hand wash. And I'm gonna be using Dawn dish soap. No, I do not recommend you use dish soap, especially regularly, to wash your car because it's really, really harsh and it makes your rubber and plastic trim age much faster. But I do want to strip away any grease or oil that's already on the car, so that's what I'll be using today before we spray anything back on. Now we're going to towel dry the car, but it's worth noting that on both the Quik wax and the Graphene Flex wax, the instructions say that you can spray it on while it's still wet and just towel it dry, which would save even more time. But since the ceramic coating spray does say to dry the car beforehand, before application, that's how we'll go ahead and apply all four of the products to keep consistency. And now we'll go ahead and leave the car outside in the sunlight for about an hour to make sure that the water evaporates from the surface, and I'm gonna go get some lunch. Now that the car is fully dried, I'm going to split up the car in 5 different sections. The driver's side front is going to be coated with the Instant Detailer. The passenger side front will be coated with the Quik wax. The driver's side rear will be coated with ceramic coating spray, and the passenger side rear will be coated with the graphene spray wax. The middle of the hood between the vinyl stripes and the roof will be untreated, left as a control. First, we're going to try the Instant Detailer. It is worth noting that I'm not using this product in the way that it was designed. Instant detailers like this are supposed to be used between waxing, and in other words, on top of a coat of wax that's already there. But I included it in this test because unless you do a little bit of research or read the fine print, the less knowledgeable consumer wouldn't know that. The headline marketing certainly makes zero attempts to clarify such context. I mean, it is literally called an instant detailer. And even though I've used this product a million times before, I think I've mostly used it, to be honest, to just make me feel like I've done something without putting in the actual effort to wax the car. And in applying this to the bare paint surface, I am noticing that the paint surface is still gripping onto the microfiber towel, and the surface doesn't feel that slick. But hey, maybe this will do better than doing nothing though, and I guess we'll find out later. On the passenger side front, we're going to use the Quik wax made by Meguiar's. And interestingly enough, this is the most expensive out of the 4 products, and it does have some marketing mumbo jumbo like hydrophobic polymer technology, but the most of the language is pretty straightforward. It just says durable protection, quick and easy, makes paint pop, and leaves it slick. It doesn't really make any outlandish claims, and at first glance it does deliver. It's very easy to use and to wipe off. It does leave the surface pretty slick, and as a bonus, it smells really good for some reason. But in terms of durability, I really have to wonder if this will last as long as the other two newer products, the graphene and the ceramic sprays, because if they do, you could really save some money here. But, you know, on its own, yeah, I gotta say, I really do like this product. Next up on the driver's side rear is the ceramic coating spray. So this spray, made by Turtle Wax, is the only one that really insists that the surface be completely dry before applying the product. And this is consistent with the process of actually ceramic coating the car using those small little bottles. So I guess I'm kind of optimistic that this product isn't complete marketing BS. Also, this is different than the Quik Wax and the Graphene Wax in that it's not advertised first and foremost as a wax, it's marketed as a ceramic coating spray. And properly applied ceramic coating does last years, so maybe the promise of 12 months isn't completely bonkers. But if you do read the fine print, it does say it's a synthetic wax, so I really don't know what to believe. In any case, I guess if this even lasts 6 months, I'll probably be happy. But at a first glance, I honestly couldn't tell the difference between using this and the Quik Wax. The consistency seemed about the same, the ease of use seemed about the same, and to the naked eye, the results also seem pretty much the same. But again, I'm assuming that the difference is really in the longevity of the product, and I guess we'll just have to check up on that later. And finally, the passenger rear quadrant will be covered with a Graphene Flex Wax, also made by Turtle Wax. And this is another product that promises to last up to 12 months. So really, in the last year or so, the idea that graphene coating is even stronger and more durable than ceramic coating really took hold in the industry, and they started infusing graphene into everything, I guess including spray waxes. This product is one that can be applied in several ways. You can apply it to a dried surface like I'm doing here. You can spray it onto a wet surface and just wipe it dry, and surprisingly, and this I've never seen before, they say that you can even spray it onto a wet car and just hose it off, kind of like how touchless, car washes work. But the instructions are pretty clear in that if you want the best durable lasting results, you should apply it like I am right now and wait for it to cure 24 hours without it getting wet. The liquid does have a hint of black to it, which probably is the graphene, so I'm assuming that the product does contain a fair amount of the advertised material in there. In applying the product though, I can't say that it feels or looks any different than the other two sprays. They're all just easy to spray, easy to wipe off, and it looks pretty good to me. Now that we're done applying the different coatings, I'm going to let this sit inside the garage for a full day to let everything cure, and then we'll test how the water beading capabilities differ between the products. It's now been a few weeks, and this car sat in the garage for most of that time, but I think it did get rained on once and driven maybe 5-6 times. And no, I didn't wash the car since applying the coatings. And I'm going to spray some water on it to see how hydrophobic the different test areas are, but this really isn't a longevity test since it hasn't been that long. First, we'll take a look at how the instant detailer did versus the control surface, which again has nothing on it. And I would pretty much say that it looks the same to me. The water isn't beading at all on either surface, and I would say that using the Quik detailer in this manner really isn't doing much of anything over doing nothing. Now we're going to compare the Quik Wax to the control surface, and I don't even know why we're doing this. There's not much surprise here. Obviously the wax surface does better than the unwaxed surface in terms of water beading. Okay, so now let's move on to the more interesting comparisons. How did the ceramic spray coat do against the graphene wax? And I can actually see a big difference here, and I was a little shocked. The graphene area on the right is clearly doing better than the ceramic spray area in terms of shedding water from the surface. And honestly, I was kind of doing this test thinking to myself, this is probably a waste of time. And I fully expected the three waxes to perform about the same, but on this rear hatch, I can clearly see the difference, and graphene on the right performs better than the ceramic on the left. Now finally, let's compare the graphene wax against the Quik wax. I do think there is a small difference here, and I would give the slightest of edges to the graphene wax, but there's not a clear difference. And I tried this multiple times with different spray patterns to make sure I wasn't biasing the results, and each time I think graphene on the left did ever so slightly better than the Quik wax on the right. Okay, so now let's summarize the findings. In terms of pricing, the Instant Detailer is the cheapest at $11, so 5 stars there. And the Meguiar's Quik Wax was the most expensive at $26, which is a lot for a bottle of spray wax. The ceramic spray coating and the graphene flex wax were $17 and $22 respectively. In terms of appearance, I honestly wish I could say that I could tell the difference between the sprays because that would make for a much more interesting video. But if you blind tested me, I honestly wouldn't bet a nickel that I could tell the difference between at least the 3 waxes. The Instant Detailer does get 1 point off here, and maybe I could tell the difference more if I had a darker paint, but on a white car, it was pretty much all similar. Ease of use is where these products really differ. I'm gonna give the graphene wax the highest rating here because it can be applied in several different ways depending on how much time and effort you want to put in. And then the Quik wax gets 4 stars because it can also be applied wet and wiped off. The Instant Detailer gets a couple of points off because it was a little difficult to wipe dry since it didn't leave the surface very slick. And the ceramic spray coating gets the worst score here since, although it wipes off easily, it is the one product that must be applied to a completely dry car. So when you're in a time crunch, this isn't the product that you want to be using. Now, for the water beading test, as we've seen, the graphene performed the best, then Quik wax, then ceramic spray coating, and then the Instant Detailer, which, honestly didn't perform much better than the control. And the final category is durability. This is where I don't yet have enough information because it's only been a few weeks since I applied the coatings. I'll have to make a follow-up video in about 6 months to a year updating you guys on how well they lasted, so subscribe to the channel for that video and more similar content. But so far, I'm very impressed with the graphene flex wax out of this group. It's not that expensive, it's very easy and quick to use, it performed the best in the water beading test, and if you trust the marketing, it can last up to a year. I guess we'll just have to see about that. If you enjoyed this content, do me a favor and give this video a like, and if you'd like to see more content like this, please give the channel a subscribe. It's a new channel called Master of None, in which we either take on interesting projects around the house or the garage, or attempt to learn a new skill set that we've never tried before. See you again soon.